Welcome back to another episode of TPG. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to replace an old nasty fuel filter on your 2G DSM. So let's get right into it. Alright, so the first thing that you're going to want to do is go into the back seat of your DSM. If you notice, at the bottom of your back seat there are two little black pull tabs on either side, and we're going to pull those release the clips that hold in your back seat cushion. So we're going to get that out of the way to gain access to the fuel pump. Alright, once you get your back seat pulled out, that gives you access right here to your fuel pump. We're going to take out the 4 screws holding on the cover, and we're going to unplug the fuel pump. Okay, so once the screws are removed, you're going to want to lift this panel up, and there's going to be one plug connecting the harness that runs through this black piece of rubber right here to your fuel pump, which is underneath the cover. So we're going to disconnect that next. Okay, so underneath this cover, this is the plug that we wanted to take out. Pushes in on the side right here. I used a flathead screwdriver and pressed against the side right here and pulled the plug straight back, and it popped right off. So now we jump in, we start the car, and we wait for the fuel pressure to drop off and the engine to start to sputter, and that should relieve all the fuel pressure in the fuel lines. Well, I guess that was a little easier than I thought. She didn't even want to fire up. On to the next step. So next we're going to want to remove the battery from our cars and set them off to the side, and that will give us access to the battery tray, which we're also going to remove, and then below that should be our fuel filter right against the firewall. Alright, so once we get the battery pulled out, we're going to want to remove this 12mm, this 12mm, and there might be a couple back here, but I think mine are missing. Yeah, it looks like one's gone there, and that's going to pull our battery tray out. So let's get that thing out of there. Alright, so once you get your battery tray pulled out, you're going to want to also take out this battery tray bracket, and there are 2 more 12mm bolts, one behind this part of it and one underneath here, which is kind of a bear to get to, but if you look at it, you can fit a 3/8 extension all the way out to here, and that gives you just enough wiggle room to crack it free and get this out of the way. And right here is our fuel filter. We'll get to that in just a second. Alright, so now we're at the fun part. We've got to our fuel filter, which is this rusty nut right here. That's a banjo bolt, 19mm. You're going to want to carefully break that free. Something I wanted to mention quick is when you get that top banjo bolt off, you want to make sure that you don't damage it and you save it. We are going to be reusing this with our new filter, and if you look on AutoZone's website for $9.96, they have a replacement fuel filter, and it also comes with the 2 copper crush washers, which you're going to need to replace. These are usually only good for 1 use. So now we're going to move on to the bottom. Alright, so the 19mm on the top of this fuel filter, right up there, she's easy to get off. The bottom, however, is a 14mm line wrench. That one was a little rusty. I just cracked it free, so I'm going to finish taking that out. Then all you have to do is take off the 10mm on the left side of the fuel filter here, and the 2 12s that are on the right side, and that should free up the bracket so you can take your old fuel filter out and put your new one on. So this is the old fuel filter, and as you can see, there's some mud pouring out of the bottom of it. Take this as a good reason for you to change your fuel filter on your 2G DSM. That's only some of it. The majority of it that came out was even worse than that, but that's basically pure mud. So this is something you definitely want to get yourself going on and swap it out. It only costs 10-15 bucks, maybe 20 if you can't find AutoZone. Definitely do it. Your car will thank you. Alright, so now that the old one's out, we take our bracket here, and if you'll notice, there's a notch right here. It goes on your car like that, and with your new one, there's also a notch right here that locks this in place. So once you clamp it on, you should be able to crank that bottom fuel line tight to the bottom of your filter. So we're going to start throwing this all back together. I'll show you a quick time lapse, because obviously reassembly is the reverse of disassembly. So let's get started, guys. Alright, so once your fuel filter is reconnected, all your brackets are put back in place, your battery's back in, and you have your positive and negative terminals hooked back up to your battery, we're going to go into the back seat, we're going to reconnect the fuel pump, and we're going to check for leaks. Alright, so now we've got the fuel pump reconnected. Everything should be good to go. We're going to put the key in, turn the key to the on position, then we're going to come out here, check for leaks, and start it up. Alright, everything seems to be doing alright. So, today we learned how to change the fuel filter out on our second generation DSM. If you like this video, drop a like. If you have any questions, drop a comment down below, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see the next episode. Take it easy, guys.